Oh my gosh. We did not go live.
Oh, mine just said we're alive.
Yeah,
Oh, there it goes.
there it goes. Okay, there we are. All right. And we are live. Greetings, everyone. I am Brenda Williams, founder of Culture Shifters Unite, and I am here with a very special guest, Jessica York, who is, of course, a healer, a worker, a community conduit. She is here to help us heal and transform our lives. She is a community advocate and definitely a champion for the feminine spirit.
Oh
And
my
so,
gosh, yes.
yes, and so she has uh, an event coming up this Saturday that has been 2 decades really in the
Mhm.
making. The Indie Chick Revival, which is going to take care of three charities, not one, not two, but yes, good humans, three charities. And let me really center this because, particularly in our late stage capitalist society, we're always looking for what we can get. We have become very transactional as humans, and we haven't given a whole lot of credence to what it means to have communal care. And with that, I want to really just center that Jessica is not making. I mean, none of us are. We are not making any profit from this. No one is making any money from this. And with the intention of these charitable organizations get the financing that they need. And I also want to really double down on this. Unfortunately, we have an administration that does not believe in human rights and is cutting funding left and right for organizations that will expressly benefit those who are at the margins of society. And so when we think about women and femmes, when we think about trans and people of color, those people are at the margins of our society and therefore have become targeted. Um, and even more so, funding to help support them has been cut. So this event is a way to continue to make a way out of no way. If you are in the nonprofit space, you have worked for a nonprofit, you understand not only do you wear multiple hats at any given moment in any given day, you're operating under the hopes that your grant will renew. And many times they do not. You can apply for 10 grants and get one. So your hope is that you have donors and sponsorships and other ways to make revenue. And this is before we even talk about making like payroll. We're talking about taking care of the populations in which you have been called to serve. So this is a clarion call. This is a summoning. This is a big and audacious ask, an invitation for you to, even if you cannot come, still purchase a ticket. I have put here in the comment section, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can get a ticket. Even if you don't live in the state of Michigan and you don't live in the Metro Detroit area, please come. Please purchase a ticket and understand that when we talk about domestic violence, it is not just getting away from the perpetrator. It is also healing and undoing. It is prevention. It is restoration, building your life all over again and healing the generational bonds that perpetuate the cycles. And so this is even for all genders to come and witness. And whatever happens to one of us happens to all of us. So without further ado, I'm going to bring forward the fearless leader of the Indie Chick Revival. So Jessica York, welcome.
Oh my gosh, what an opening. I feel so touched and honored. And you touched on so many essential key points. 20 years ago when we had the first Indie Chick Night, what's sad is financially, really not much has changed in 20 years when it comes to getting the funding needed. There's so much on the surface level, government wise, that it may seem like sometimes the funding is going where it needs to. And the reality, and almost any nonprofit I've talked to or charity has said it really doesn't happen. It's very much like window dressing. I can't tell you, I think in my lifetime it's never occurred. I'm 39, and it feels like it's just getting worse it's consistently getting worse over time, that we're just taking. And so I'm a big believer in that the big picture can devour you. People get very focused on the big picture. The big picture can devour you. And when that happens, your soul and your spirit is not able to really contribute on a smaller scale. And by contributing on the smaller scale, that's what opens everything back up. That's what keeps charities going. That's what keeps nonprofits going. That's what keeps money in our local economy, our circular economy, and we're reinvesting. So I beg people, and I beg when they come into my spa too, and they're overwhelmed by the world. And I get this question on a very regular basis, like, how do you not get like devoured by the world, right? And I'm like, you have to start small. You have to focus on what can I do right now? Who can I help right now? And if you just open your beautiful eyes, whatever color they may be, there is a plethora of people, places, resources, hubs that need volunteers. They need time. They need money. They need resources. And there's so much you can do. And the way you can impact your community, it speaks volumes. It goes so far. And so 20 years ago, when we did Indie Chick Night, I was looking around. I was 19, little baby, and I was at this coffee house I hung out at all the time. And I'm looking around at these like phenomenal women, and I'm like, wow, like I'm in the company of like these amazing female poets. I used to run a poetry group called Decapitated Muse Poetry Group of Detroit. And maybe I should bring it back. Maybe it's time to bring that back too. But I had this great poetry group. I knew all these female musicians and artists and jewelers. And I'm like, wow, I am in like great company. Let's put on a showcase. But let's do something more, right? Let's not just put on this showcase. Let's, benefit somebody else. And I think the first one we donated money to was Haven, and this little tiny coffee house, it's like filled 100 people. I was blown away. This tiny little coffee house. 100 people came that night, and I mean, it was standing room only. It was packed, and when I say it was like electric in the air, I still remember that feeling of being electric. And it was the first time I was public, I mean, completely public about my teen dating violence situation and abuse and rape. And being public in front of so many people at 19 and being honest and open, it opened the transparency that came after that blew my mind. I had so many people come up to me and was like, I went through that as a teen. Nobody believed me. The police didn't believe me. I was ashamed to tell my parents. Like I kept hearing it over and over and over. And so continuing into adulthood, while I'm grateful that I have not experienced like abuse and domestic violence as an adult, that what happened as a teen really carried through into how I carried my relationships as an adult. And then I heard so many adults that were repeating cycles or going through what their parents went through. And, 20 years later, I'm still hearing it. And this event it's a dual purpose. It's on International Women's Day. It's a celebration of women in, same thing, women in the arts and business and amazing vendors, amazing shopping, amazing services, all these things, great speakers, but it's also going to be raising money for these 3 phenomenal charities. And we also have speakers that are going to give advice that if your sister, your aunt, your son, your daughter, your grandma, even, that if they get in a pickle, you're going to have some advice that you'll be able to remember for the rest of your life. Like I heard, this is what you do financially. I heard this is what you do legally or with real estate. This is who you can go to. Having resources, it is the best form of wealth, like personal wealth, is having great resources. And like Brenda, you're one of those great resources.
And I just want to really reiterate and double down more on what you just said about having resources and having, courageous conversations so
Mhm.
that if it does happen to you, and I even want to go with some statistics, it said that 1 in 3 women,
Yeah.
1 in 3. So we know that in the room, there will be other survivors. We know that, let's just be honest, in our group chat, if
Yeah.
it's not you, then it's one of the 2 or 3 other women in your group chat that this has impacted. And I also just want to name a really great organization called Do No Harm, which is
Mhm.
a male response to help
Yeah.
men with anger release and management and breaking the cycles of abuse, so that whether you were a perpetuator of it or a witness, you're not a bystander, and that you can heal from it. So we really need every facet of society to answer this, to answer this call, because this summoning that you have around art, um, around poetry, around music, we know all of those modalities are natural healers anyway.
Mhm.
But what better way than to, heal and assuage the wounds of those who are survivors of it? And I have to say, me too. This
Yeah.
is this is my story too. 2014, and doing the work in the community, there was a lot of shame that I carried around it, because it's like, oh my gosh, like, how many Take Back the Night events have you done, Brenda? You work in human services. How did this happen? It can happen to anyone.
And it
And
happens without you knowing it. The signs can pop up really unexpectedly, and there's not just one way. It's not like, oh, here's the one path to abuse. No, 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 no. It can happen after many, many years of a very happy marriage. It can happen from all kinds of things, chemical and hormonal changes, medications, unexpressed genes. There are so many factors. I mean, we could be here all day talking about the factors, but when it happens, that's the point where it's like, now what do I do?
now, what do I do? And I love that you have. So let's even talk about some of the charities that you have,
Yes.
because I think one component of it, which is so important to name, is the financial aspect.
Yeah.
Um, Many will stay. Yes, there is the chemical called love that that will, but also it's financial. Do you have the means to leave? And I know that, your amygdala is all messed, so you're not really thinking,
Yes.
clearly. However, there is this thought: what will I do for money? How will I survive? You add children into the mix, right? And then there's this whole other dynamic to consider. So if you could share some of the charities that will be
Yeah.
benefiting and their roles.
Yeah. So this is kind of like a two-part. So speaker wise, we have two speakers that are going to be talking about things like real estate and finances. So one of the speakers, Kitty V, love her. She is going to be talking about finances, having a plan B, doing separate accounts, creating a situation that financially you can get out of, because for sure it's one of the things that keeps us here. We've all heard of something called a poor man's divorce, where you want to go and you can't afford it, and you end up like living in the basement and having these two separate lives because you simply can't afford to live on your own. That's the truth for most Americans, not some Americans, most Americans. If you're middle class, you really can't probably live on your own. You need to be either upper or in the higher percentages, which is not many people. So she's going to be talking about that in terms of those plans and actions. But then we also have a speaker, Lisa Mills, who's she's a transitional real estate expert. So helping women get out of bad relationships, bad divorces, abuse situations they need to, or men, same flip side, because men go through abuse too, and helping people separate and how does that work? What do you do? What needs to happen? So those stepping stones. So that's going to be in the entertainment portion. Now, the charities, we have 3 different charities that responded to our call to action. We reached out to about 8 charities, and then 3 of them were like, boom, boom, boom. And they were ones that had really high praises. So the first one is Lakeshore Legal Aid, and they actually work with a lot of other nonprofits in terms of getting people that legal assistance, because you're right. When kids are involved, when you're both on a house, what if you have a business together? These are things that are complicated and can obviously accrue financially quite a bit. So Lakeshore Legal Aid facilitates on their own, but also works with a lot of these other nonprofits and charities to give people the legal assistance they need. Then we have Supreme Transitions. Erica Maria runs that. And for a while, and I'm not sure if she still is, I believe she is, she was trying to open another domestic violence shelter in Detroit, but she actually did a documentary with Mariska Hargitay. I believe you can see it on YouTube. And it's called I Am Evidence. And they covered a lot with the Detroit rape kits and where all those went. That was horrifying. It's horrifying. She does a lot with women of color. She does a lot with minorities, because those are targeted groups, and those are groups too that sometimes need individualized care. One of the things that actually got brought up to me this morning, one of the dancers really wanted to devote her performance to women on reservations, right? Women on Native American, Indigenous reservations.
Yep.
And what that looks like, because that's a whole different set of laws and legalities, right? And so there is just horrifying things that slip through the cracks there. And so it's important to have some of that specifically, because then there are also cultural things. There are, there's women that have come from certain tribes in Africa where there were some rituals and rites that carried through an abuse that obviously generationally, have passed through, or they've escaped those situations. We could talk about genital mutilation, and still being able to identify with your culture and feel okay within your culture. But then also, you do know this is an abusive situation that you need to escape. So there's quite a bit with minorities that I feel like needs to be addressed, and there needs to be some specified resources within there too, so you can find, even to find resources for, maybe you want a therapist that's your skin color, just simple things like that as well. So then we have Avalon Healing Center. So Avalon Healing Center does a lot with human trafficking, sex trafficking. They have medical resources available, and they're going to help you feel like a whole human being again. They do a lot. It's very, very powerful, and they also have groups and resources and access. And there's a lot of charities in Metro Detroit. There's so many. But these are the three that we're going to have there. And they have kind of three different aspects and things they do, so that we can cover a wide spectrum. But you can ask, feel free to come up to me, feel free to come up to Brenda. We do know additional charities as well. If you're just looking to reach out, get involved, volunteer, there's so many wonderful ones. I mean, we could go on for days, and they all need help. They all need money, and they all need resources. So I'm very happy with the charities that we're working with that are going to benefit from your dollars. The money is coming from a lot of different ways. So we have ticket sales on Eventbrite. They'll get 100% of net ticket sales, which is essentially the ticket sales after Eventbrite takes their portion. And then 100% of door sales. So that's, what comes in and who buys the tickets at the door. Then we have everyone in terms of the entertainment is a volunteer. So how we're doing that is the vendors are the only people that are going to be able to make money, but we had them utilize their resources to be able to donate items to, we have a raffle winner that will receive one item from every single vendor, and it's a 1 in 100 chance of winning. And that's from some of these pre-sale tickets. So they're donating that, but they're also donating items so that all of the volunteers involved are going to feel really appreciated for donating their time and energy and efforts and art. Because the people that are on this, are professional speakers, professional poets. They are dancers. They are usually compensated for their time, and they're donating it. So then all the vendors are going to be donating. So we'll have bags for all the volunteers as well. And then also the art that's going to be auctioned off, all of the artists are donating a portion of their commission towards that as well. So there's going to be money coming in from a lot of different funnels, and it's going to be a really beautiful thing. And, more importantly than the money is really just all these new people that are exposed to your charity. That's really powerful, because now you're going to have 100, plus new people that are finding out who you are for maybe even the first time. And that can go a very far distance, especially if all those people are adding you on social media and sharing and possibly volunteering. So I'm really looking forward to that like community healing portion more than anything.
Yes. And I think that there's something that's really important that you named too, especially for Indigenous women. We've seen, and if you have not keyed into the campaign around violence and the abduction of Indigenous women, usually symbolized by a red hand over the mouth, which is to a nod toward women on stolen land who have been abducted and have not been returned back to their families. I mean, we can get into the women of Juarez, and we can talk about women right here, in the Detroit metro area. So I think that it's super important for us to understand how wide this impact has, but what we can do about it. And I think that as you named, the communal components of it, the real estate, the financial, the spiritual, and the emotional, and the commitment that everyone that is on this it's even deep. It's not even a show around this groundswell of answering the call to stand in the gap for those who cannot for themselves, or the silenced voices, so that they can be heard. Because again, like I said, 1 in 3 women, I mean, that's serious. 1 in 3. And then we haven't even scratched the surface on the abuse that trans women face, but specifically Black trans women. There is no one that's putting any kind of energy, real energy, behind searches for perpetrators. The abductions go many times uninvestigated. So there is in our society a huge ill, particularly against the feminine. But I love that we have so many on this event this coming Saturday. So March 8th is the date. If you want to give everyone all of the specifics, I did put here in the comments for people to purchase their tickets, but they can be purchased at Eventbrite. So where can we get our tickets?
Mm-hmm.
Where is it located? And from what time to what time? So we know when and where to show up.
So all the deets. So this is an all ages show. You can bring your kids, you can bring your teens. I encourage you to bring your kids and teens. Absolutely. This is all genders, because remember, men are victims of domestic violence as well. Your sons, uncles, brothers, and the more people that are involved in this type of communal healing, the better it's going to be in the long run. So all ages, all genders. This is going to be on International Women's Day, Saturday, March 8th. So that's a Saturday from 4 to 10 p.m. You do not have to stay the whole time. You can come and go as you please whenever you want. We have phenomenal entertainment the entire evening. You can stay for 10 minutes if you want. And tickets are $10 or $15. The $15 ones get you that awesome chance to win that raffle basket. Otherwise, the $10 ones are the standard one to get you in the door. You can just show up and buy them there, or you can pre-purchase them on Eventbrite at Indie Chick Night Revival, on our Facebook event at Indie Chick Night Revival, or on my networking group's website, coterie-detroit.com. That's COTERIE Detroit.com. And you can purchase them on there as well. I'm just really looking forward to this. And one of the things I'm looking forward to is it's at Gallery 46 in Pontiac. Pontiac has done one of those things where it kind of became a ghost town and now is on the revival again. And Gallery 46 is this art gallery run by Felice Sky and Ebony. And they do such an amazing job with this gallery. So having these like beautiful, powerful, like Black women in charge of this arts and culture. And they're a big reason why July arts and culture in Pontiac has come back in such a big way. So it's an honor to work with them for anything. And I'm just so gracious that they're and grateful that they're like hosting this for us, because it just goes to show you like the multitude of powerful, talented women in Detroit. And when we come together, what kind of healing we can do. It's a divine gift as a woman to have that power and that possession of healing. It's really beautiful. And so to be able to cultivate that and use that for good in Metro Detroit, like I'm honored. I feel like so minuscule on the grand scheme of things, because I'm like, and you should see me talking like, Brenda Williams is going to speak. And like, oh my gosh, Amanda Sweet is going to speak. And oh my gosh, Julie Haven's going to perform. And like all these incredible people. I feel so humbled to be in the presence of such greatness. And so I know everyone that comes is going to feel that as well. It's powerful.
Yeah. It is really, and it is indeed an honor to, lend your voice, lend your art. I mean, as an artist, I do like to write with the intention of transformation, with the intention of love, and the intention to transform. And I know I just had a call earlier today where I was talking with another shero, Amy Peterson, and I was sharing with her, I really feel drawn to leading in the feminine and, feminist theology, womanist theology, really centering that. Because I know that as we're, in this new dispensation of healing our earth, healing our planet, healing ourselves, we must be in touch with that part of ourselves that is life affirming, life giving. And no matter what your gender is, and no matter what your orientation is, this is an event that I hope sparks more change, more quandary. And again, time, talent, and treasure. Where can you lend yours to make an impact and make a difference in someone else's life? So, Jessica, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. Please check out Jessica York's page. Tickets are there. Tickets are also on my page. You can check out the Indie Chick Revival on Eventbrite. And what I, again, want to encourage you to do, if you cannot make it, you don't live in the state, or if you don't live in the country, because I know I got people everywhere, purchase a ticket, make an investment, because when you have done it to one other, you have also done it unto yourself. You have done it for for those who have unfortunately succumbed, but you also help with prevention. Because I know that as we leave that space, we're going to be so different. We're not going to be the same people that came into that space. There is transformation in that whole block. When we talk about love, when we talk about our hearts, the electromagnetic field around the heart, that auric field is expansive. So I know that as we walk down the street, as we go back to our homes, as we, do all of the traveling, the world is different, because we all got together in a unified field of love and advocacy. And this is really important work. And this is why, to me, spirituality and social justice are linked. Social justice is a spiritual practice, and advocating for the feminine is a spiritual practice. So, Jessica, thank you again so much for joining me today. Because I know you're super busy getting ready for an event, and I know the days are leading up to the event. So please get a ticket, or 2 or 10. And we will see you so very soon. Thank y'all for tuning in. And for all of you who are catching this on the replay, thank y'all so much. Hey, Mama Smith. So this is one of my mother's best friends in the whole wide world, Kathy Smith. She just chimed in. Thank you for showing so much love here. And anyone else on the timeline, we love you. We see you. We affirm you. Jessica, I will see you Saturday.
I can't wait.
Yeah, this is exciting. All right, everybody. Bye for now.